Good evening. This is a meeting of the Groton Board of Education being held on Monday, August 24th, 2026 at 6:04 p.m. in the central office in room 11. In person tonight we have Jen White, Mitch Schindrock, Adrian Johnson, and myself, Beverly Washington. Online we have Dr. Andrea Ackerman, we have Jay Whitlock, and Ian Thomas. And the staff tonight, we have Rita Parsiak, Sam Kilpatrick, and Dr. Anne-Marie Mancini, and of course the Superintendent of Schools, Susan Austin. The first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance, so we can roll and stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The next item is recognition and participation of visitors and delegations. I'd like to take this time to thank everyone, all the staff members that helped get Mary Morrison ready to receive students. And a special thank you to Ernie Kashmira, and his staff, Alex Hill, Emily Wallace, Becky Wallace, and Bill Causey Doyle. They helped spruce up the entrance. They sanded and painted the railings. They said they were going to do plantings. I didn't go by again to look, but that was out of their job description because they're food to farm to school people and food services crew. So a special thank you for them and everyone else that helped get Mary Morrison ready for opening day for our students. The next item is a portion of the agenda where the board welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to 5 minutes or less, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentation should be related to matters pertinent to Groton. Board members will only ask questions in order to clarify the speaker's presentation and cannot respond during comments from citizens portion of the board meeting. Citizens should make their presentations from the podium and state their names and addresses for the records. I don't see anybody that wants to speak unless Mitch wants to say something as a citizen. Okay. Nope. So we have no response to comments, no student reps. The student reps will be here in September. We interviewed 3 today, and we chose 2 with the alternate. So, go ahead.
Actually, there is something.
Okay.
It's okay. This was an observation on the day that we had the Democratic primary. I worked the polls, and I was at Mr. Griver Magnet School. And there's a requirement, it's a new requirement, that for people that do curbside voting, that you draw a circle with a 20-foot radius around the spot people do curbside voting at. And so I went out there with one of the other people, and we drew the circle, and then neither one of us knew that there was school. And we drew it where the buses park. And it became a problem. The guy in charge of buses came in hollering and screaming about it and wondering what to do. The moderator didn't understand what was going on, but I figured it out. He and I came up with a solution. But normally on election day, there is no school. This was a primary, and there was somehow we didn't know on the pollster. People doing the polls had no clue that there was school that day, nor did we know that we were putting a circle right where the buses park. Okay, so I was going to suggest that maybe everybody, each principal be asked. I have to go through you after I asked Beverly about it, but I was proposing that each principal identify a place to have curbside voting in case something like that comes up again, because they know their system best.
Were those the yellow lines that were painted?
I don't remember what color. They were all, there was
I was trying to
red
figure out
one,
what those yellow circles were about.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's how
think
it
so.
was then.
I didn't know if something came down from
That was me. It was chalk. It was good. Anyway, I just thought I'd point that out.
Yeah.
I'm just a little confused. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. What happened?
No, I was just a little confused that there was school.
No, it was camp. It was camp.
Oh, it was
No,
camp.
school camp.
It was,
It was summer school.
education,
It was summer
6
school.
weeks one.
Yeah.
Every single one of our buildings, I had let everybody know was being in use this whole summer, or most of the summer. That was one of them, that was the longest, was ESY.
But that's a good point for when the election, you know, there would be no school November 3rd. That's when the election is. So, but still.
This was an offbeat thing. It's not
Yeah.
unusual, but it happened.
Yeah.
Okay. Next on the agenda is superintendent and administration reports. And I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Well, we've had a very busy summer, a lot of people working. You know, our teachers were working at those camps and programs in the summertime, and we had staff, like you said, Beverly, recognizing staff that worked on both the Mary Morrison project and also the machine shop project, and also the robotics lab project, and we've got everybody in place now, and the spaces look really terrific. I know we had everything moved so that the robotics team did not have to move it themselves, and so now it's in place, and from what I'm understanding, they're unpacking. I have to get over there and check it out, but they're getting things situated just the way they want. So, but in addition to that, we had summer curriculum and professional learning happening over the summer, and Anne Marie's going to fill you in on that. So it was busy summer.
All right, thank you, Superintendent Austin. So I just want to give everyone an update on all the work that's being done this summer, and I'm sure maybe I'm not even capturing everything, but this is some of the stuff that I'm aware of. During the summer, we had a lot of dedicated curriculum committees that worked extensively to advance our district's educational offerings and our instructional readiness for obviously this fall and the coming school year. The scope of the work encompassed essentially 3 main areas. The first one being the development of new courses, the second one being comprehensive revision of our courses across K-12 subject areas, and the third one being the instructional transition or preparation for new programs. All projects were fully funded using targeted grant allocations, primarily from Title I and DOTIA grants, with zero impact on the local operating budget. Our new courses, we had 4 of them this year, and 3 of them this year, and all of them were brought forward first, of course, through our process in the board curriculum committee, and they will be actually coming forward for first round of approval for the curriculum committee in September, and then eventually to the full board, again, following our process. We had 25 courses, most of them at the high school level, that were revised this summer. And I was just looking right before this meeting at the final course revision that was brought forward to me for review and approval. And then finally, the last category, again, was our middle school team kind of came together. Both middle school math teachers and ELA teachers were given the opportunity to prepare. We know that they're doing some transition this year in terms of their programs. Middle school teachers, math teachers preparing for IM, and our ELA teachers are going to be making that transition to wisdom. And so we provided them with an opportunity to kind of get together and, do some work as they get ready to make that transition. And some teachers took advantage of that. In terms of professional learning, outside of curriculum work, which I believe is professional learning, we had some of our elementary principals attend the PLC at Work Institute. They went to Grand Rapids, Michigan. And then we had a variety of teachers, science teachers, for example. Some of our elementary teachers participated in science professional learning with Ben Moon this summer, and just a variety of other offerings across the district that we had teachers participate in, whether it be IB professional development, AP training, a number of things. So we have teachers that are coming back. really excited to implement all of these different programs with our students.
And much of that is also paid for by our grants.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Any questions? When you revise a course, what does that entail?
A lot of times, it's really updating resources, or maybe they want to update a particular unit or 2 units of study, just to make sure that it's more current and relevant for students.
And the new courses, what were they?
Yeah, we have 3 new courses that are going to be offered this year. The first one is discrete math. The second one is Investing 101, and the third one is an IB course called IB Language A. Yeah, the proposal. So now they'll come forward and to the curriculum committee first for review, and then they'll be recommended, for approval, hopefully to the full board.
And when do you think we would actually have these courses in place?
They're not going to be implemented until the 2027-28 year. So I wanted to be obviously ahead of schedule. We know that obviously the process takes a little while, and but also, in order to get them on the program of studies, which usually that process, with the high school, they start looking at that November, December. So I wanted to make sure that, there's ample time in case when it went to the curriculum committee or even the full board, if it needed to go back for revisions, that, there was some flexibility. So our teachers wrote the courses this summer. They're scheduled to go to the curriculum committee in September. And again, there's that little bit of flexible time if anyone has to make a revision.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Dr. Mancini? Jen?
Is the robotics, was that part of the 25 revision?
No, because, and I'm glad that you asked that question. Robotics is going to be a purchased curriculum, and actually just met with Mr. Kay. He's our new teacher, and was asking him. So we were recommended, I believe, one of 3 different curriculum offerings that are, already a kind of pre-made curriculum, and I was really waiting for that individual to be hired. As you might imagine, robotics is a little out of my wheelhouse as a former high school English teacher. I didn't want to make that decision. And so when Mr. Kay, I actually talked to him extensively at new teacher orientation. He's very familiar with what's called the VEX version. He's used it in his previous assignments, both I think in Rhode Island and in Massachusetts. And so that was the one he was advocating for. But before we make the purchase, of course, we want to go to the curriculum committee first. He's going to fill out the proposal, present it, kind of talk a little bit about how he's used it previously. He's also familiar, from what I understand, with FIRST robotics, that curriculum, but really thinks that VEX would probably be better in terms of like our career pathways. So he's going to make that proposal. I'll probably put him on the calendar. Of course, I want to check with Mr. Shinbrot, but want to put him on the calendar either for October or November, going to the curriculum committee, and then, of course, we would come to the full board. Before we make a purchase.
He's actually the master chief, who is also our military science teacher, so he's got lots of talents. And he let me know that we are really almost at that number 50. He thinks we're going to have that this year for being able to then go back and finish the paperwork, so we become the official JROTC, and the federal government will pay for this from now on. So glad to have him. Welcome aboard, right?
And robotics, that class will start in the spring.
That class is scheduled to start this spring, but because it is a purchased curriculum and no one has to do any writing, I anticipate that process is not going to be as lengthy in terms of the approval as what it typically would be, because no one has to write.
What's the cost of that?
I think it's called robotics one.
Yeah. What's the cost? Because you say we're purchasing it, right?
Yeah.
It comes with a price tag.
Oh, what's the cost? Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it is. I'll have to look into it for you. I'm sorry.
But I think that was also supposed to be paid for through one of the grants. I don't know if it would have been one of our grants is going to be able to cover the cost of it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Anne Marie?
No, thank you.
No. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Mancini. All right. Next on the agenda is our Director of Finance.
So I'll just give you an update on the FY26 closeout. I'm going to be submitting the report next week. We will have a carryover. I just don't want to give the amount until I close all the grants and submit that report, but we are in good shape. Also, we received a preliminary report for the health insurance, and the active health insurance has $5 million in the fund, and that does not include another $500,000 that we're sending. So I'm anticipating it's going to have about 5.5, and the OPEB I think is negative 600. So we'll have to talk about that in the future.
Figure out
Yeah,
plans for that.
I'm hoping we can talk about it at the Finance and Facilities meeting on the 16th, and the carryover and how much we have left. So I'll have all those reports ready for the 16th.
You said the active?
So the active, and like, not retirees, not the active health insurance fund, you know how to separate them?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so, and in the packet is the health insurance report from MDG. If you have any questions, which was...
I had a question. Okay, on the front page, right? On the paragraph that starts with large claims. You see that, Rita?
Yes.
Okay. Down on the second or the third from the bottom, it says excluding claims above 200,000, moderate, indicating moderate underlying trend pressure outside of the largest claim. What does all that mean? You see that sentence?
In the middle, the last
Yes,
sentence.
it's a third sentence up from in that paragraph that starts with large claims. And it starts with excluding claims above 200,000.
Oh, they exclude the claims above the threshold of where we have insurance. I'm trying to think what it's called.
What are trend pressure outside of the largest claimants? What is
I
that?
would have to talk to MDG about what they exactly mean.
Language.
Yeah, that's all their language. This memo is from them. So I don't watch the claims as closely as they do. I watch the totals in the fund more, and I watch the claims.
Mitch?
Who is MDG?
MDG is our broker / consultant that tells us how much we have to put in the fund based on claims. So they're our consultant / broker insurance
For both us and for
for both us and the town. Yeah. So they monitor the claims and they give this report every month, and then during the budget season they'll give us a projection of what they feel we should put into the fund for the budget.
Anyway, it says favorable. And the rest-
Well, it was a favorable year. So when you look at the chart, and we were able to my knowledge, put what they suggested in, and I think that's what helped the fund. I was surprised that it was at $5 million.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I have a question.
Any questions?
I have one more question. What does, on the other side, what does PEPY stand for?
Peer participant. So when they look, I'm pretty sure it's pure participant. So when they look at claims, it's not just the employee. It could be the employee spouse and
Okay.
or how many members are like in the plan. So they're calculating like how much is it per member.
Oh, okay. Jay?
Yes, thank you, Beverly. Rita, I know we discussed this a little bit at the finance and facility meeting, but I just want to bring it out during this meeting to better understand. So looking at the actuary report from Milliman, that basically suggests how much we should be funding in OPEB. As you recall, the actuarial defined contribution for this fiscal year was the $1.659 million.
Right.
And if you could remind me, that $1.659 million, that includes our contribution as well as the retirees' contributions?
That's what I was understanding when I was given that budget, because I looked at past years, and that's what it was what we budgeted plus the retirees and the teachers' retirement. But I do want to talk to Milliman because I want to make sure that my understanding is accurate. But you're correct, that's what I did say.
Because when I look under the pension contributions,
Right.
and this is what's confusing about the Milliman report, is that they're very detailed under the pension about the actuarially determined employer contribution to a pension being $915,200.
Right.
But then when they drop down to OPEB, it doesn't say if this is the employer or the employer plus the employee. So I think you get a little more clarity.
I totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, you would think it would be consistent, right?
Right.
As to what our contribution is. I mean, we need to know what their assumptions are for the retirees as well, to make sure that that's on track.
Right.
But we obviously can't collect more from them than, than was agreed.
I know they're working on, they've asked my staff for the data for the next evaluation, so that's when I want to get in more depth with them about, are they including the retiree payments and the TRB payments, because my assumption was they were, due to the fact that I looked at previous years of budgets of OPEB, and I determined that it had to be including all funds. So, but I do want to clarify that, Jay. I agree.
Yeah, because when we go to do the budget, it seems like, we would have put the $915,200 into the budget for the pension, but, what did we put in for OPEB? And by the same token, and I know I'm not putting on the spot tonight, but at some point I would like to know, has this number been contributed? Are we up to, up to these recommendations?
Well, I believe,
We are currently doing it pay as you go. I mean, some jurisdictions actually have a surplus in their OPEB, but my understanding is most, or at least many, Connecticut towns are doing pay as you go. So I want to make sure we're at least keeping up with that.
we're definitely, I know this year, keeping up with pay as you go, but I agree that we have to look at minimums report, because I want to make sure I'm interpreting it correctly. Because we did, I did tell the town to move what we budgeted for this year already out of our budget and into the OPEB for FY27. But it seems that we're running a deficit. So why are we running a deficit? Yeah. That's why I want to talk about both funds along with our leftover funds on the next Finance and Facilities meeting.
Right, and of course, we know that these are all held sort of in the same account, so to speak, but there might need to be a bookkeeping adjustment to bring more funds out.
Right.
So from insurance reserve to balance out that. But yeah, right, if we are following these these recommendations, what is the cause of the deficit? So,
Right.
anyway, again, just so everybody's on the same page, maybe we can discuss that at the next meeting, if they're able to give you some guidance.
Definitely. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jay. Any other questions for Rita? Ian?
Oh, yes, thank you. Just to follow up on that, one of the things I've always hoped to see with these accounts is a more articulated ledger sheets as far as basically a bank statement. Is get a sense of what's going in, what's coming out, and when it's going out. Is that a thing that's possible? Because it seems like a lot of times we just get kind of a raw overview, but then things like this come up and we can't really pin things down.
Well, I think I started giving the fund balance that shows it in, what's going in, what's coming out, maybe the last few months. And I just received the preliminary. I didn't have it in time to put it in this packet, but it will definitely be in the next Finance and Facilities meeting. And we are watching it, and I did have a staff member balance the OPEB deposits with what we sent down. So I do know that the OPEB deposits are accurate.
So the projection for the stuff is projected, correct?
Well, the projection is what Jay and I were just speaking of. The projection, the minimum, needs to be looked at closer to make sure that, I'm understanding it correctly as what is supposed to go in our budget and what we're supposed to receive from, the participants. If that makes sense.
Basically what factors have gone into calculating that
Exactly.
projection that creates this potential deficit?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And definitely maybe is there a way to compare that historically with what's been going, what happens with the account this time of year or in general?
Well, I was historically looking at the budget for OPEB, and that's what I went with for the FY27 budget. But I'm not sure what you're asking about.
As far as historically speaking, over the past 5 years, how has this account behaved?
Right.
What expenses has it incurred? What inputs has it received? Maybe we're doing a historical analysis on the account so we can kind of look for patterns. And so, maybe help better articulate the projection process.
I would definitely have to ask the town for their reports, because I only have this past year.
Understood, yeah.
So, but I could ask them for the previous years.
Sure. Yeah, I think that'd be a great thing. Maybe something finance and facilities to look at is kind of putting together a sort of comprehensive analysis of
Okay, just let me see, Ian, if that's something all the board members want to need to do.
Sure, well, I'm just
Okay.
going out of it, yeah.
Okay.
Exactly, we gotta get working this.
Yeah. Because I don't want to...
Hopefully get momentum with that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Nope. All right.
Thank you. I'm going to go work on my report. Thanks, Rita.
Is that something the board members would want from Rita before she goes? Whatever Ian was saying, a historical analysis of OPEB?
I don't really understand it enough.
Yeah, I prefer not, because past couple of years has been really odd when prior managers were looking at it.
It's going to be in session either way. So.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't know. About Jay? Jay, did you hear my question? Jay? Is he there? Andrea, did you hear my question? All right, moving right along. Sam, your report, if you don't mind.
No, I don't mind. So, I got a few things to report on both school facilities and summer projects, roll them all into one report. And I wanted to thank Rita, but she walked out on me here because Rita has been working feverishly putting the bid package together for the walkway, the entry at Fitch High School, which is out now. And we expect the bids to be in, I believe it was September 9th, but...
Very good.
I wrote about it in board notes too, that
So,
it came in high, so we had to go out to bid for it.
right, so that's number one. The other things that are going on, of course, we're waiting some pricing on electrical work for both the machine shop at the high school and also robotics. So we've been working with Chris Jenkins down there on the robotics stuff, and all the items that we've been told to deliver to both robotics and the machine shop, we've delivered everything that we've been told to deliver. I think they're still waiting for one more machine in the machine shop. There's a big machine that hasn't come yet, but is supposed to be here fairly soon. We've been spending the last couple of days with fire marshals. We have a few different fire marshals that we work with in this district, not just one. 5 different fire departments, so different fire marshals. So we've been doing the inspections on the schools, and actually, I think this is the first year that I only found one extension cord that wasn't supposed to be there. Usually we get a very large collection of extension cords. But maybe it's still early. So, maybe the fire marshal came a week too soon, I don't know. So we're going with the fire marshals. Of course, the Mary Morrison Early Childhood Center has been taking up a lot of our department's time. And our guys are now working with the teachers as they are coming in. Especially on rainy days, they show up, and we've had plenty of them. And so our maintenance department has been assisting them with the heavy stuff that they need to move in and out. But again, we moved all of their stuff over to the school. I did have a meeting today with at Mary Morrison regarding the traffic flow for buses and for parent drop-off. So that we had this afternoon. Signs will be ordered for that. We'll have signs saying buses this way, parents this way, so on and so forth. But I think we got that worked out today. And once we have that map, I'll share it with you. And then the last thing that I wanted to mention is that we have mandatory training that we need to do with our custodians and maintenance regarding asbestos in the buildings. I'm not saying we have asbestos in the buildings. We don't have any in any spaces that I'm aware of. However, we have to do the testing. I mean, the updated training once a year too, so that it's an awareness training. So just so that they're aware of where it might be. But all of our tiles and things have been eliminated over the years. Ceiling tiles have been eliminated. The only thing that I'm aware of might be behind a wall somewhere where there's a piece of plumbing pipe or something that might be wrapped with it, but it wouldn't be exposed to either the workers or to staff members, or especially to kids. So, and then of course I've got water testing. I've got to do a little bit of retesting over at Mary Morrison School. We had a couple of water tests that came back with the lead levels that were not above the limit, but they were too close to the limit for my comfort. So we've installed filters on those in those 3 areas, and we'll be redoing the testing this week, and we'll have good results to report very soon.
Faucets, too.
Well, that was the first thing we did, was change the faucets, because sometimes the older faucets actually have lead parts to them. So that was the first thing we did, and then we added filters too, so. Testing will be coming up shortly.
Okay. And the results will be back before Monday?
I beg your
The
pardon?
results will be back this week?
I have to talk to Chris about how soon I can get them. It's
Kids
possible.
don't come until the second.
Yeah.
So they come a few days after the other
Do you
system.
think you'll have the results by the time the kids come? Let me reframe my question.
I certainly hope so.
Okay. And what's plan B if you don't?
Plan B is to shut those faucets down, not use them.
Is this only in the
You mean
nurses'
if we didn't get the results back in
Yeah,
time,
we didn't-
we'd just shut them off?
Okay. And are these faucets in the bathroom?
No, they were,
in the hallway?
one's in the classroom, one's in the nurse's room, so.
Okay.
They did, I mean, I guess you might have water for washing wounds and stuff, but anyway, we'll make exceptions for that. We'll figure something out to make sure that they have water in those areas if we have to shut it down. But maybe I'll have to drive down to the other end of the state with the samples to get quicker results.
Have you gone utilities for water?
But they send it out to a lab to actually do the testing, yeah. They'll take the samples for us, and also Mr. Gare would also take the samples with us. I called Groton Utilities today, but he's out, and he's not back for a couple more days, so I'm going to be talking to Chris over at Mr. Gare, get the bottles so we can get the samples and get them out as quickly as possible.
Usually it's pretty good for us. He's very good turnaround.
Yes.
Ian, you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I had another question about another thing, but as far as the testing goes, I mean, that's also assuming that the results will be in an acceptable range. I mean, there is also the possibility that they may not be. So what's the plan as the results come back out of range?
Well, the plan would be to shut it off.
Yeah. He just went over that.
Okay, so, and then of course the whole, you have to get those things out of there and replace it sometime, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, the other question I had to do with the robotics situation as far as what is the plan? We are now kind of in the zone where things are going to start happening with the preseason, to my understanding. So what is the plan for them to operate this year? Do you take further idea about the hallway, possibly as a temporary space? Do we have an actual plan that they can work with for the immediate upcoming year while we work on the big permanent solution?
I don't think that's a question for me, but I've been working with Chris Jenkins up there with the robotic stuff, so I would think that the worst that would happen would be that they would use the flag hallway again if that's what they would have to do, which is what they did originally in the building. But that would be the worst thing that would happen to them. They're going to practice somewhere, and we will make it available to them somewhere. It won't be in a gym because those are used all the time, but they've used the flag hallway before at the high school, and they've also used the connecting hallway that goes back where guidance used to be at the high school, which is between the flag. If you went from the front door all the way to the end of the flag hallway and turn right, it's that hallway that's out that faces the property that everybody wants to buy next door.
That was administrative, but not guidance.
Yeah, the back hallway.
The ceiling isn't as high down there, so if they, depending upon what their task is this year, that might be a problem down there. But they have used it before because whatever the task was, it didn't, the ceiling height wasn't affecting it.
Yeah, and that's what
So,
the
yeah, I
assistant
guess I was
principal
hoping to hear something more definitive from somebody about it as far as that goes, because, I mean, yes, that seems like that's going to be the ultimate fallback, so maybe that should be just the thing that we commit to. as the plan, because, we can't depend on a gym that's already overbooked. We can't, we're not going to construct a half-measure exterior structure. So, I just would like to, give some sort of closure and plan and purpose to the robotics team. So I thought that would be covered in the facilities, so that's why I didn't bring it up in the superintendent section, but, anyone that maybe knows more than anyone else on this situation can speak, because I was curious to know, because the school's going to start this coming week or so, right? Convocation and the first day is coming. So, we committed a space for that.
So
Even if it's temporary.
they won't receive their task until January 1st. So they don't even know what they're going to be building yet. So the only thing that I can imagine is that if they're doing an open house or they want to show off like the machines they've had in the past, they've sometimes used the cafeteria space or they've used other spaces, that we could absolutely reserve for them for a one-time event, but they won't have the parameters of the contest until January 1st of 2027. So right now, I know that they're really interested in doing that open house early on, and they'll have the space for that and the space that they have, and if they want to run the robot, they can demonstrate that in the flag hallway or in the cafeteria. We might even be able to find a gym space for that day. So, we'll look into that. We'll have to talk to the coaches about that.
Okay. Thank you.
You done, Sam?
I'm done. Thank you.
I had questions for you.
All right, and then Mitch,
I'm not
did you
done.
have
Yep.
anything?
I didn't know.
Okay, Jen, then Adrian, and then Mitch if you want to.
I would like to know when the fire marshal is going to come in for Mary Morrison, so that we have final blessing that we can actually open the building. So I don't know if you have that date.
I don't have a date yet.
Okay, because I don't want us to...
Our maintenance coordinators,
No, he hasn't, he's been coming in on a regular basis.
But when
not to Mary Morrison that I'm aware
when's
of.
he planning on giving us the
His assistant
certification?
has been coming in.
Tom's in touch with him and will get us a date on.
Okay,
That
yeah, because that's
inspection.
important, because
Yep.
if they block that, then all of this goes up in the air.
He was aware that we're doing egress windows and stuff like that, so he's been involved.
Yeah, it's been coming out regularly.
And then, I don't know if we have information, this is just for parents, busing schedules for the kids that are going to go to Mary Morrison, if they're riding the bus, or if they're, I know at one point you were looking into that. And I'm just going to list them off, and then when we had originally gone on the tour, the bathroom seats or urinals for the little boys were a bit higher, so I don't know if step stools were put in or what the alternative was for that. And then where the blackboards used to be and have been since removed, I don't know if we're going to, this is just more aesthetics for the teachers, so it's not as critical as getting all the key things, right? Like if we're going to do last minute touch-up painting, so that like...
Somebody was doing it last week, the end of last week, so a lot of that's done. I don't know if it's completed, but most of it was done.
Great. So if we could just get a response on making sure that like parents have like good bus schedules and routes.
Yeah, I think the bus schedule's coming out on Wednesday, I believe, from Mary
Action
Morrison.
sent out, we met as a central office team, and Rebecca was asking about that. And so she put out a message that they're doing their test drives now in order to make sure that the routes are as good as they can get. And then that should be wrapped up by Wednesday. So she said no later than Wednesday that
Okay.
they would get those for everybody, including our pre-K.
Yeah, because those are like the youngest.
Yeah.
Could easily get lost.
Right. And like I said, they have a couple extra days that they aren't in session because they don't have to be there the 180 days, and that gives the teachers a little more time to get things ready too.
Perfect.
So,
and then we'll get a date on the fire marshal certification. And then, I'm not sure if you have a response for the height for the little boys, so that they can,
The what?
the urinals were like at the height level of their face. So I wasn't sure if we were building a,
They're short. Should they have they put in the partition, so that wing that is by the pre-K. I don't know about the other wing. I haven't looked in there. We'll have to check that, but they do have the little partitions, and they got new partitions for the stalls and everything, so
okay.
that looks much better in there.
So that's good, because I hadn't
They were
seen
very
it.
short, the ones I saw,
Okay,
so.
yeah.
And we
check
all know
the
they're
other
going to go
way.
on the floor anyway.
Now they're barriers, though, Adrian.
Okay, so I'm not worried about that. I just want to make sure that, like, they could reach.
We put the partitions up to protect the kids next to them.
Perfect. So,
That's what Sam
I
does.
do
It's the truth.
I do have to say, we had 2 finance and facilities in there, and from the first one to the second one, marked improvement. And then we had met Ernie regarding like the summer program, and so while we were there, we just took a little stroll, and it even looked even better. So a lot of
Go, it gets better.
yeah. So kudos to your team.
Thank you, Jen. Adrian?
Yeah, I just have a couple of quick questions. Fitch door buzzer, we may have gone over this and I just don't remember. Is that done?
Yes.
I put that in board notes, and I actually took video, and when they first put it in, I was just so excited. It was working. They have this screen that you can see. They can talk to people. So I was there in the beginning of the summer when it was being put in. I actually put it in board notes.
It was working as of last week.
Yeah.
We used it
We
today.
used it today.
It works, doesn't it?
Did you use it?
I didn't use it, Jim did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about the sink and culinary? Did that get done? The new sink?
No, it hasn't been done yet. No.
All right. Do you know what the plan is for that?
It won't be done before school starts, so it'll have to be during break, I would say.
All right. All right, that was it. Thank you.
Mitch, you
That
wanna?
goes back to our vintage wing problem. Mhm.
Okay. I guess we take them.
All right, I think you guys can hit the road.
Oh, Sam, any update on the solar project up at the high school?
We haven't heard from them.
I don't have anything new, although she did send me an email today and I didn't even read it yet. You want me to read it and give you a report?
No. Next month I'll ask you the same question.
Please do, yeah.
On the solar panels, okay? All right. Next, committee reports. So we had no policy, we had no curriculum, we have finance and facilities. Okay, Jen.
So the Finance and Facilities Committee met at Mary Morrison, and thank you, Anne Marie. And we took a tour of the facility, and like I had mentioned in the prior comment, marked improvement. So it's in really good, making great progress for when school starts. We also did not have like a full finance report because the Director of Finance is still trying to reconcile numbers. With that in mind, I want to notify everyone that the Finance and Facilities meeting will be moved to mid-September. I believe the date is the 16th. So because a lot of filings will have to be done on the first week, which is when we normally meet, we basically so that's what we have. We discussed during that meeting, very high level, as Jay had mentioned as well. Took a quick review of the MDG report, but with the knowledge that we would get additional information. And then also, we were waiting on some numbers from the town so that we can continue with our Board of Ed's reconciliation. And so from when I spoke to Rita prior to this meeting, we were still waiting on that, and maybe we have new news, and we got the data, but when I spoke to her last week, we still have not received the data. So basically, that's it for finance and facilities.
All right, thank you, Jen. Next is communications. Jay?
Yes, thank you. Communications met on August 13th, and Rebecca Bias gave us a comprehensive report for activities over the summer, including the publicity regarding the Early Childhood Center at Mary Morrison and the upcoming DREAM program. I would say that the publicity surrounding early childhood must have been wildly successful, because my understanding is we have a waiting list for that. If anybody is interested, Rebecca always produces a very informative PowerPoint that is attached to the minutes of that meeting, and I invite everyone to review that. I believe she's also going to address the full board in September.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Jay. Next is the Ad Hoc Long-Term Space Planning Committee, and I just want to remind everybody that that is board goal number 3, review building capacity based on expected demographic trends, and that's one reason why we set up this committee. Adrian.
All right, yeah, so we just had our first meeting with a plan for actual working meetings to be in the beginning of October. We didn't set that date yet. Susan's going to, we talked to which staff members might be the best to have at that meeting, and our first working meeting will be to talk about the middle school, I think. And I'll just say we had that meeting today at 5 o'clock, so August 24th at 5. On that committee is Ian Thomas, Mitch Shinbrock, Jen White, and myself. We talked about a few different things. One thing I'd like to see, if the chair would like, the long-term plan for the facility for robotics field. Whether we want the committee kind of talked about it. We agreed that we could talk about that, since it would be a new building or a new space at least. So if the board wants the committee to kind of take up that, kind of the long-term plan of that versus the what's going to happen this year, I think you probably stick with the board. But, so I'll leave it to Bev if she wants to ask. But we also identified, I think that the places with the most need are going to be the middle school, Charles Barnes, because the building's getting old and needs a little bit of work, and the vintage wing of Fitch, and then there's plenty of other places, but those are probably the priorities that committee will be looking into. That's all.
Okay. I'm fine with the long-term planning committee doing the robotics.
All right.
Okay.
Anyone else have any comments on that?
One did not meet. Athletic fields. No. They canceled?
Sent you a text, I couldn't.
They didn't.
I tried to get,
Mike.
I don't know if there was a meeting.
Okay, I don't know. We'll find out. Military superintendent's liaison. We didn't meet.
We haven't had one in the summer.
Town council, city council, RTM Board of Ed. We meet
September
10th.
10th or 11th, the Thursday.
Okay. And that's you and Mike on that one. And the AGSAGA Board of Ed meets in October. That's an October meeting. Okay. Next is the consent calendar. That's approval of the regular meeting minutes of July 27th. And acceptance of gifts from Costco Wholesale Club donated 128 student backpacks and school supplies for district use. And Two Sisters Shipping and Business Center donated 8 student backpacks and school supplies for district use. Thank you for both those gifts. And do we have any comments on the minutes? One thing I think for members present says Ian Thomas remote arrived at 7:20, Ian was present, and then he left and went remote. I'm pretty sure. Is that right, Ian? I'm pretty sure he was present at the meeting. Please.
Yes, thank you, Beth, that is correct, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the meeting I got up and left around.
Right.
Yeah,
And then you-
hour 20 in.
All right.
But I was patched in as I walked out the door, so there was really no breaking continuity, I just transitioned from in-person
Person
to
to,
home.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
About
think,
7:20, let me ask that.
mhm. So he wasn't remote, he was in person, then he went remote at 7:20. And Mike Whitney, I think Mike was remote. I don't think Mike was physically here at that meeting. Go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, just on that same thing, it says that I was remote and I was actually here for that meeting, so that can be changed. And then, under comments from citizens, it says there's an attachment for Liz Baumgardner, but Marcy Seaplack also sent a statement and referred to it and read it, so I'm just going to request that that statement be attached.
Okay.
I agree with that request, I support it.
I don't think Joan had that one.
So I'm not sure, because it went to board members.
Yeah.
Okay. And under committee reports, under my report, the AGSA, GA, Board of Ed, some corrections need to be made. Like it says, liaison committee met in May and discussed earbuds, and then it has comma, a policy written one way. It should say cell phone policy written one way, implemented another, and then it says comma, discipline. I talked about student discipline, and then it should have a comma, accountability for parents and staff morale, and then it should say space issues. It says space load. I don't know what that means. Space issues. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Teachers being injured, and emphasis on testing scores. She said emphasis. It just says in testing scores. It doesn't make sense the way it's written. More teeth in the absent policy. We don't have an absent policy. She just said more teeth in the attendance policy. Do we have an absent policy? I think it's the attendance policy. So that needs to be cleaned up a little bit. Okay, do I have a motion? I should have a motion first. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll make the motion with modifications noted.
Okay,
I can second it, Beth.
second that. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye. With the modifications. Okay, Jay, Ian, and Jay and Ian. Jay, Andrea, Jay and Andrea, okay. Something like that. Jay, Andrea, okay. Next on the agenda is old business, discussion and possible action regarding a second reading of policy P5144.12, challenging behavior prevention, restorative practices, response, and student discipline. It's attachment number 3. And I can have a motion, Jen?
Before we get there, do we need to do anything with number 2 under the consent agenda, the acceptance of gifts? Do we need
No,
to
it's all under the consent agenda.
Send a letter
Okay.
home.
Yeah.
You send a letter, yeah. to
Thank
them.
you. I wasn't sure if that was all one.
Yeah. And thank you again to Costco Wholesale Club and Two Sisters Shipping and Business Center for donating the backpacks and the school supplies. We really appreciate it. Can I have a motion for the restorative practice policy? No motion?
No, I can do it.
Okay, go ahead.
Afterwards, honey.
I'll second.
Jen, you made the motion? Did you read it?
Motion to approve policy 5144.12, challenging behavior prevention, restorative practices response in student discipline as a second reading.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Adrian? Okay. Is Denise going to talk about it?
No, I can talk about it.
Okay.
Denise and I met for my summer breakfast meeting with the AGSA, or the GEA, and we discussed the policy. I had sent it to them ahead of time so they had time to read it, and there was a really good discussion around it. They did ask some questions about it. We talked about how a presentation was being prepared to review with the administrators, which we did at our retreat last week, and that it would be going to the whole staff so that they would understand the policy. And
Could you give us some more specifics about what were their concerns, and, you know, you
Well,
said this thing,
I
you
think-
talked about it, and
their concerns are always what happens when kids are disciplined. And we did talk about some of the different programs that we have at each of the schools. They have a review 360 at both the middle school and the high school, or actually it's called the Educator's Handbook, so teachers can actually see when a child has been reported, and if the teacher has the ability to, or is the teacher on record, they can also see what's happened. What are the consequences? So both consequences and restorative practices will be listed on there. And I think our elementaries are going back. They used to use Swiss data. You might remember this way back, Beverly, but they'll be using that so that they'll have a way to record. So that was really the biggest issue, that they knew what had occurred and that, you know, things had happened. Just because sometimes there's a lag time in understanding what consequences were and what had happened. So that was the biggest thing that I can remember us discussing. And they've been doing restorative practices since I've been here. So this is just a more in-depth study. We have Chris Wright, who used to be with Safe Future. She's one of our consultants. And we have Dr. Mari Wrightington, who was at the retreat. And she has been working with us really since I got here, too. Since right after I got here. So we have some really good professional development experts who will be helping us with this charge. And they felt it was, they really saw that it was in addition to consequences that things would be resolved better. So.
Mitch?
Just to make sure I understand correctly, I thought that this was something that is forced on us by the state of Connecticut. Is that right?
It is a law. It is a law.
It's forced on us by the state of Connecticut.
And so we do abide by it, but, you know, we've done it in a way, I think, that really gives us support with, you know, teachers getting access to information and having the tools so that they know what's going on in real time, and also, you know, with support people who are real experts in this field. So.
How much professional development goes into this?
So we're really going to, like we did with attendance, Mari Wrightington led that charge with us last year. We'll do the same rollout with this so that, you know, they'll get information probably at a faculty meeting each month so that they have ongoing and they can bring questions to the table to administrators and have conversations about how things are going. So it's going to be for the full year of, you know, learning more about this and seeing how things are being done.
So each faculty meeting, they're going to be discussing this policy?
Well, they're going to have a little more professional learning around each of these things, and maybe even case studies, so that they can understand some of the things that are actually happening in the school.
So that's at the faculty meeting?
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jen.
I was going to ask the same thing. We're all set.
It could also be TLIs, you know, some of the TLI building days.
So who does the training?
So it's a train-the-trainer model. So Dr. Mari Wrightington, like she did with attendance, will train the admins during admin council. And then they have the slideshow, and they are ready then to go to you know, have these trainings with the teachers. And the trainings are really not just sit and get and talk and tell. They really are conversational too. Teachers can have conversations back and let us know how it's going.
Now, does this policy in any way help the victim, or is it just to I don't know how to word it, to restore? How does it help the victim be restored in this policy?
Well, they play a very important role on really being understood and how it has harmed, how it has caused harm.
Who plays that role?
Well, both the victim and the advocate to the victim. But I think what is more important is that, this policy clearly outlines our making sure the information gets reported back to the families who are impacted, whether it's the victim or the perpetrator,
So how does this policy, does it help the victim in here? I didn't see any of that.
Well, yeah, it helps to restore. I mean, we've had situations in school where they definitely feel safer after this process goes through.
Dr. A.
I'm wondering about the victim aspect of it as well. I don't think that anybody realizes how impactful perhaps a racial slur or a slur about religion impacts victims for their entire lives. They never get over it. And I don't see anything in here that addresses that. And the other thing that I wanted to say was sometimes there are instances where the answer is because I said so. And I'm going to vote for this policy only because the state said so. So that's my position on where we are with this. And the third thing is, I wish I had been at that retreat so I could have heard the experts in this speak about it. So that I hope that we have an opportunity to attend any workshops that they present so that I can better understand the entire philosophy of this.
One of the things that I did send you, Andrea, was the slides from our admin retreat. There are a lot of them, so I don't expect you to study them, but definitely you have it in the board note that I sent on Friday.
However, in the past, the board has always been invited, long ago, has always been invited to the retreat itself. And I would have liked to have been there. So that I'll study those, what you sent us. However, if there's an opportunity to attend any of those workshops, I would like to be present at some of them at least.
Okay, thank you. I see Denise's hand, so she might be able to answer. She is here. Yeah.
I think she just let me go with Ian then, because I didn't think Denise was available. Ian?
Thank you, Bev. I'll be brief. I feel the same as Dr. A on this one. And she said it better than I ever could. So I will vote for this just because we have to, but I also see flaws and some gaps there. And I agree with that sensitivity towards the victim and dealing with, how do we really, a lot of this seems more performative than anything else. But I do appreciate the work that's gone into it. I think we're moving in the right direction. I think it's been moderated and adjusted to fit the best it can within the third parameters of the law. But I would like to be at those retreats in the future too with admins. It would be a great time to kind of have the board and the admins understand the same source information. Thank you.
Thank you, Ian. Denise?
Thank you, Beverly. I just wanted to add a little bit more to what Susan shared. One of the takeaways for me with the breakfast with the GEA was that they had some questions in terms of how the use of the circles strategy would be used. So remember, restorative practices is 80% building community. So it's all about building connections and helping people know and understand each other better and in a more human way. So one of the questions that the GEA had was, when will the circles be part of our day? What will it look like in our schedule? Some schools do a circle first thing in the morning to start the day. Other circles have, other schools in our district have a circle after recess to maybe repair some conflicts that happen during recess. So they really wanted to know, will we have some freedom to kind of choose when a circle works best in our classroom? And I thought that was really important feedback for them. So we assured them that that's something that they could work with the principals on. And then the second thing I wanted to say in terms of the role of the victim is, again, just to remind the board that one of the goals of restorative practices is to reduce the reliance on schools from out-of-school suspensions and expulsions. The goal is to keep kids in school, and there's a big part of restorative practices that has to do with skills competency building. That means that we're going to be working with the victim and the perpetrator to help them understand what happened, how it made the other person feel, what they could have done differently, so that we're not just taking the perpetrator out and suspending him or her, and then that student's coming back the next day, and we have to come up with a safety plan for the victim to make sure the victim feels safe. This is more, working together so that each side, can hopefully understand the other side in a better way and move on and treat each other with respect.
All right, thank you, Denise. Ian?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks to Denise for that follow-up as well. And that's the thing, I'm really interested in seeing how that develops in the future moving forward with this plan. Because much depends on that. For me to feel like this is a real valid policy, and it's no reflection on the administration because this is state law, so we're just doing what we have to do to be in compliance with the law. So, it's more of a challenge to the state legislature that passed this, to observe how this really works out. And do we have those moments where victims can meet their oppressors and there's a moderated conversation that can occur that perhaps could break down some barriers and misconceptions. Thank you.
And I understand, Denise, that this is really used to prevent problems in the future. And so you don't have all these expulsions and suspensions. I think that's the main point. But I was more concerned with, like, if Jen's harassing me and poor Jen. Now, Jen, you're not supposed to do that. But every day I got to go to school with Jen, and she's eyeing me. I mean, how's that helping me? And that's when I was talking about the victim. But I understand this policy is in place to help prevent that from happening. But if that does happen, then I'm interested in the victim.
Yeah, and that's a very good point. Thank you for elaborating on that. It's also intended to, to restore and to repair. And there may be instances where that's not going to happen right away. Or maybe one party does not feel comfortable having that conversation with the other party. So, it's very much in terms of, what the kids are feeling comfortable with and how we can help them, repair, restore, and move on. It doesn't mean we might not still have safety plans or emotional support plans. We certainly will if we need to. But, we do need to take a look at the number of students that are suspended and expelled, because that is data that, that indicates, that there's some growth to be made there, not just in our district, but in many districts.
Thank you for that, Denise. And Jen?
I just wanted to state that I agree with Dr. Ackerman and Ian. I too am voting for this because it's sort of mandated, but I do want to focus in on the victims, and sometimes it's not the victim's responsibility to make the perpetrator feel good about themselves or restorative practices. So that's to put it blunt, Jen way. We do need to, even though this is what policy is, we do need to think of what can we do as a district to help support the victim, in addition to getting the other students back.
Okay. Anything else?
I have one more thing.
Okay. Go ahead, Dr. A.
Yeah, and it's very brief. I have the policy in my hand, and I've made some more revisions, or Erica is aware of this, but I want the board to know, there's strictly commas and that kind of thing. There's nothing that changes wording or intent, but there are commas in here added and taken out, that sort of thing. So just so you know that.
Thank you, Dr. A.
I just want to note that Mike Whitney joined, I guess, around 7:15-ish. Okay.
Yes, it was 7:10.
7:10, thank you, Mike. So all those in favor of approving policy P5144.12, challenging behavior, prevention, restorative practices, response, and student discipline as a second reading, raise your hand. Okay. That's everyone, so that's 8-0 to... Oh, Mitch, I didn't see. I'm sorry, Mitch. I'm focusing that way. I'm sorry, Mitch. All those in favor, the 7 in favor. Opposed? Mitch, opposed. Abstentions? And I, too, am only voting on this because we have to, because it's a state mandate. So I'm going to abstain, I think. I'm going to abstain. So that's 6-1 to 1, because there's 8 of us.
Braver woman than I am. You're a braver woman than I am.
All right, so 6 voted for Adrian, Jen. I'm going to write this down so I know. Adrian, Jen, Jay, Mike, Ian. Mitch opposed, and Bev abstained. Damn it, so much. Dr. Ackerman. Andrea, I got to name that. Okay. All right, next. Thank you, everyone. Next on the agenda is letters, communications, comments by board members or meeting items and other items in their jurisdiction. I just want to say thank you to Ernie has notified me that Justine has set up an automatic payment feature for paying for school lunches. Basically, it means a parent can set the low balance amount, and then it will automatically charge their card on file to add whatever denomination they set up. So I thank Adrian. I think I'm pretty sure it was Adrian that came up with that suggestion. And so thank you, Adrian. And it was you, right?
Yeah, I think it was collaborative.
Okay. And thank you, Justine, for making it happen. Yeah. Ian.
Thank you. I just wanted to, seek consensus of the board to see if the special meeting coming up this Wednesday, we allow for a remote access for any possible executive session. Now, I had told you the idea of asking for a vote to suspend the rules and make it a voting matter, but I figured I'd start with the more informal approach first.
Okay. So what are you asking?
I'm asking for this Wednesday's meeting to be allowed for remote access for board members to participate remotely, even if you should go to executive session.
am opposed to because of the sensitivity of the matter that we're discussing, and I can't see who's walking around in people's houses. So I don't know if an executive session should be very private, and if you're in your house, I don't know what's going on in people's houses. So because of the sensitivity of the matter that we're discussing, it's only going to be in-person executive session. If it was anything else...
That's the chair's position.
Right.
However,
That's my
the board
position.
never actually voted on that, and it's not a matter of board policy.
We've been doing it for a while.
That's practice, maybe precedent, but it's not necessarily a binding parameter.
Yeah. Dr. A?
So,
Yes, it's very difficult for me to get to those meetings at this time. However, I agree with Chair Washington because I think that executive session means exactly that. And we should be there at the central office to discuss this very private matter. And even though it's difficult to get there, I'll be there, and I support your position, Mrs. Washington.
Anyone else? Speak up.
Yeah, I would say that I kind of side with Ian on this, that if there's never been a problem with somebody breaking executive session, and I feel like the board members are all professional, I think we should be trusted. I had to change a bunch of plans to be there. I mean, I will be there, but it was cumbersome from my end. The other thing I would like to say is the way the agenda is written, it makes it seem that the vote is going to be in executive session, and I know it's not because we can't have a vote in executive session, but the way it's written, it says that the vote will be in executive session. It also says that the meeting is room 11 and not hybrid. And I think if there's a vote, it has to be in a meeting, and it can't, or it doesn't say hybrid. And board members, like I don't know if Ian's going to be there or not, but if he weren't there, he still has a right to vote, which would make it a hybrid meeting. So I would request that that the overall meeting be hybrid and board members be allowed to Zoom in or whatever. And then if we have sub-executive sessions in that meeting for things that we're allowed to talk about in executive session, then we do that. But then so I'm going to request that the agenda be cleaned up a little bit, to show that it's, and just resend. I think we still have enough time.
Yeah, we still do.
To clean up, if we are going to still have executive sessions, I guess we could, theoretically, we have to vote to go into executive session. So if Ian's concerned, you could bring it up on the vote to go into executive session too. So I guess that's my request with the agenda.
Okay. Mike?
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I agree with what Adrian was saying about the hybrid meeting, and then the executive session, me personally, I don't have a problem with someone's calling in remotely. I think our legal representation has attended executive sessions remotely before, and that wasn't an issue. That's just my feelings on it. I think the more people we can get involved, and I think that's the beauty of these different ways of connecting to the meetings. Even with the sensitive nature, I think can be trusted and quorum that each individual member brings to the meeting.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, I would just follow up saying that I would find that to be an acceptable compromise to set up a hybrid meeting for Wednesday, and we can discuss it before the vote going into executive session, and then, if I'm not able to make it there that night, I can just participate with the parts that are not executive, if the board, if we do that, so. But I appreciate Adrian saying that doing that, I should still have a right to vote, even if I'm not able to participate in the executive session, if we're going to require people to be there in person.
Okay.
But I think Mike brings up a great point too, that, it's a rather hostile view that carries with it a suspicion of a member not doing their best to maintain the decorum respected executive nature of the session.
No, I don't agree with your wording that it's a hostile view. It's just my view. It's not hostile, and it's not meant
I'm just saying,
hostile.
for me, it perceives as an assumption of intent or malicious intent or negligence.
I just want to make sure that everything is above board and there's nobody, even in my house, my husband roams around. I can't say, don't go here. And so just to make sure that it is, a secret. Executive session means it's in secret. That's what it means.
Yeah, no,
But like even now, I can't even see your face. I don't even know what's going on now. And that's the problem I have. So that's why I have it in person. I can't even see your background or anything. I don't know what's going on there. I mean, that's just my opinion.
You need to inspect my premises? Seriously.
I'm not going to go back and forth with this, Ian.
Honestly, I'll make a referral and we can hash out the policy.
Yeah.
But I would appreciate at least that much, if we could get a hybrid session set up so that someone could drop in at the start of the meeting and at the end of the meeting can vote if there should be a vote.
Okay, that I will do. And I did ask people when you're available in the month of August. And nobody said they weren't available on August 26th. And that's one reason why we picked the date. And I just want to mention this too, because people are bringing up stuff. I sent the email out 3 weeks ago. Give me your tell me when you're not available in the month of September. The only one that responded was Jen and Mitch. Nobody else is. So then when I set up a meeting, then I have, I'm not available. I think Dr. A did too. She responded. I'm not available. I can't. It's so hard to get a meeting together. First of all, because you guys don't answer your emails. Am I right or wrong? I'm right about that. I sent it out 2 weeks ago. And so, I just do the best I can. So, that's the way it is. Anyway.
Appreciate it, Deb. Appreciate your effort.
No, it's like, I'm not your mother's. I'm not going to keep emailing you and say, are you available this day? I sent you an email 2 weeks ago. If you say you're professionals, then professionals answer emails. Okay, you got the future meeting dates and calendar items for board members. Any discussion on that? Do we have a motion to adjourn? Dr. A.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, do I have a second? Mitch. Thank you. It is 7:30 and we're adjourned.
Nice job.